Washington, and joining us now to talk about that is the chairman of the American Conservative Union, CPAC, Matt Schlapp, back on Wake Up. Matt, good to have you on the show. The vice president, great to have you. The vice president telling voters basically, if you don't vote, they win. And there are rumors that Republicans are not going to be voting in the numbers they did in the general election. How concerned are you about Georgia?
Well, this is a real concern. And as we saw in the 2018 election, there was a big drop off, something like 8 million votes, over 8 million votes. People who voted for Donald Trump in 2016, but then didn't vote in 2018. And by the way, not voting is in a sense a vote. Right. These voters were saying, look, the Republican Party isn't what I'm for as much as Donald Trump. And that's why this whole new kind of Republican effort is a coalition. Conservatives are the biggest part, Republicans and Trump supporters. Now, Donald Trump brought all those voters back and 11 million more in 2020, which is why the math doesn't make sense as to why he didn't win this race. And he's got to hold on to those voters in Georgia, especially if we're going to allow illegal voting. If the Secretary of State in Georgia continues to allow people to vote who are not on the rolls with no security or verification, it makes it very hard to win in any tough state going forward at any time in the future. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, if the Democrats win both those seats, they've got the advantage in the Senate, the House, and of course, they'll have it looks like they'll have the White House as well. Right now, Joe Biden is the president-elect. You say specifically evangelical voters are important in the Peach State. Why are they so important, especially in this runoff? Well, look, this is a huge component of this coalition that I just described. And Georgia is a state that has a high percentage of people of faith. And what there have been some messages saying, Donald Trump is our true champion, but, the Republican Party is kind of not what we stand for. And that's to me, a very dangerous thing. If you believe in Donald Trump's policies, if you believe in Donald Trump, if you believe in his legacy in the 4 years in office, you got to make sure that we win these down ballot races. One of the problems Donald Trump had in not being more successful legislatively was the fact that he didn't get enough through Congress. He didn't get enough help sometimes through leaders in the Republican Party. But let me say this very specifically. If Joe Biden puts his hand on the Bible and gets 4 years in the White House, maybe I shouldn't say 4 years, gets sworn in as our president, he's going to have Supreme Court picks potentially. Who do you want running the Senate? If you're a Trump supporter and you allow the Democrats to run the Senate, that means he can pick the most radical left-wing person, unconstitutionalist, on the court, and there's nothing that we can do to stop it. So the stakes in Georgia are huge. No, and you make a good point. I think you were just intimating at this, but, Joe Biden is a 78-year-old man, and I am not saying this right. I'm just saying that there have been those who have questioned his mental acuity at this point in his life. And Matt, is that something, and that's out there, that maybe Joe becomes our 46th president, but not too long after that, maybe within the next 4 years, Kamala Harris ascends to the Oval Office? Everybody around Joe Biden, including everybody who ran against him for the nomination, it was an open conversation. Even Barack Obama said, Joe, you don't have to do this. So everybody understands that he's an older guy, right? And he's not kicking in all cylinders. It's up to God as to how long Joe Biden has on this earth. I hope he has a big, full life. Yeah. That being said, Kamala Harris, right behind him, is younger and energetic and more radicalized. And if she were to become the president of the United States, I think that there'll just be a lot more energy behind these very extreme proposals. Now, Joe Biden's going to go as extreme as he possibly can on all these proposals. There's not an area of public policy that he's not essentially in the same place as Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. So just get ready. If you're a person of faith, they're taking you to court. If you drive a car or your job depends on low energy prices and American energy, watch out, because they've already said we're going to get off fossil fuels. If you believe in low taxes and low regulation, watch out. Matt, they're going to reverse all of these regulations that Donald Trump was able to take off the economy to make America competitive. I want to play a soundbite for you, and I think on the Joe Biden piece there, it just seems like he can't speak extemporaneously as well as he once did. The guy was in the Senate for 45 plus years, and this is somebody that would, bang his fist on the table and speak. And we know he had a lisp over 70 years ago, but the lisp
and these little devices, these little slip-ups, those two aren't connected. The lisp, he corrected. He's famously said that he corrected that as a boy. Here is Joe and Jill Biden speaking on the very safe Stephen Colbert program last night defending Hunter Biden. Take a listen.
We have great confidence in our son. I am not concerned about any accusations been made against him. It's used to get to me. I think it's kind of foul play, but look, it is what it is, and he's a grown man. He is the smartest man I know. I mean, in sort of pure intellectual capacity, and as long as he's good, we're good.
The smartest man I know. This is a man that might, Joe I'm referring to here, the president-elect, that might be the most controversial candidate ever to take office, and he hasn't taken office yet, and he's calling his son the smartest man he knows.
Yeah, there's a cloud over this whole Biden effort because of all the illegal votes that occurred in this presidential campaign. I think the most interesting thing about that sit down, I guess you call these interviews, but it's outrageous what's happening with the press, where Joe Biden essentially has no press conferences, answers only preset questions in his whole race for president. He sits down and has this kind of phony interview, and his wife has to sit there right next to him every time and be very engaged. I think that tells you a lot. But the second thing is they don't ask the right question, which is, look, are you going to guarantee to the American people that you'll have nothing to do with this investigation? You'll stay out of it, and you'll appoint an independent counsel to look at all these questions. They don't ask those questions because they know they don't want to put Joe Biden in a corner. And this has been a very common thing that's happened with presidential family members, is the president has always been asked if he'll stay out of it. Yeah. And we saw what happened to Donald Trump. He never got a day without people asking about criminal activity.
Not one day, and it started day one. You're exactly right.
Day one, the first minute.
Started day
I remember
one.
doing a CNN interview, and I was asked immediately, the Russians handed Donald Trump this victory, and all of his family members are criminals, and that's where we started.
No, there was no honeymoon. And it's these other networks, Matt, and we've got to go, but these other networks, they've become like a PR arm of the Democratic Party. I don't know how Colbert, whoever did the interview, it doesn't matter. I don't know how they can sit there and listen to that and be like, wait, the smartest man you know? This man might be charged with a felony at some point, multiple. We'll have to wait and see. Matt Schlapp, we got to leave it there.
It's the PU arm, not the PR.
Right, exactly. All right, Matt, thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks.
We've got